I'm actually like really busy. I shifted from working on my 2021 collection into like making masks for for the public, for the general public. But I actually also volunteer at Nordstrom for making surgical masks for the healthcare workers. As you know, Nordstrom promised 1 million masks, and then I'm part of the team that's helping to produce those masks. Yeah. So right now for my own business, I'm just working on masks right now, providing, and I just recently just launched a whole spring line of masks to. And then it's been people need them, and also here in Birian, I've been providing masks for like individuals. I've been providing masks for the water district here in Birian, and so it's been busy, and I'm very happy to use my skills to help during this time.
It's very, very cool. And you know, you join a number of designers in the Seattle area specifically, but also in the greater Northwest. And I think we've featured a handful of them before, but so many people have been in a position where you know, they're not getting any orders in, no one's buying anything. But that hasn't stopped sort of the ingenuity, and that hasn't stopped the creativity, and it hasn't stopped the drive towards helping the community in general. And if you had to guess, apart from your volunteer work and apart from your work with Nordstrom, which for those that don't know, Akrofi is also at Nordstrom flagship in downtown Seattle, and is a tailor there and is very involved in the community. In addition to all of that, but just with your personal line, about how many masks do you think you've shipped so far?
Well, so far I have shipped over 1,000 masks, so far, and there's plenty orders coming in, and as you can see, my mask is very, very, very affordable on the line. I'm not trying to make huge profit on it, because I understand the situation, and so I was able to make it very affordable. I use very fabric and colors that will appeal to the general public, and the design is very simple. It's designed to serve the purpose, and so people who are in need, they are reaching out and actually getting them.
You know, I didn't anticipate this, but I think it was the CDC website. They said that a little trick if you don't have filters of your own and you do want to protect against some more of that particulate matter, you can cut up coffee filters, and so there's just enough room in these guys so that you can put coffee filters in them. And what's nice about it is I don't feel, some of those masks are so thick, like the neoprenes, it's so thick that it's like really hard to inhale, like you can't really breathe very well. But and I think this is the Jersey cotton, isn't it?
This is the Jersey cotton. Right now I had a very soft version of that, which is also very dense. It's dense, and it's also doubled as well. And is the comfortness of the mask is what draw people to it, because some of the masks out there, people are complaining about the elastic that go over your ears. Over time, when you wear it for a long period of time, it kind of hurt their ears a little bit. So this is designed, and I use the fabric as the strap, and because it actually stretches a lot. It stretches, up to like maybe 1 inch, so it can fit all sizes, and it's very comfortable on the ears too. So you can wear it like long period of time.
Well, I could definitely attest to all of that. So especially now that it's been mandated, and it looks like May 31st might get extended. No one really knows yet. So there's a lot that's up in the air right now. But,
Right.
just even in developing a sense of camaraderie and just what the masks maybe lack in their ability to filter every particle out.
Mm-hmm.
What they make up for in our willingness to really signal to each other that we care, and to really exercise that we care, and to prevent
Right.
the spread of what we might have that we don't even know about to other people.
Right.
And
Right.
that's the big thing here is we
Right.
might be feeling fine, but it's about what is it that you're maybe unintentionally transmitting to others.
Right.
And but in any case, so in addition to the masks, and I know that you said you had to put the or 2021 collection on hold.
Right.
On the Nordstrom front, we've been following the story here pretty closely, and Nordstrom just announced that they're closing down 16 stores
Right.
permanently. But the downtown flagship and many of the others are gonna remain intact, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious. I don't know what you're, what you know or what you're permitted to know, to communicate to us. But
Right.
have you received any word from Nordstrom headquarters? Do you have any idea when you're going back to work?
Well, on that note, no, I don't think they even know themselves. So for now, we are on hold, and we just I'm lucky. I volunteered there, and I get compensated for it. So I'm still doing the volunteer work at Nordstrom still. So, but we have no idea when the store is going to open, and I don't think Nordstrom itself have idea when they will be opening. So, yeah, that's just.
They've been very active on social media, which has honestly been very, very good, not just for the business, but
Right.
developing a sense of community. And Pete Nordstrom was on one of Vogue's Global Conversations, specifically about the future of retail. And and then the last press release that they put out, which we also heard, discussing their excitement about sort of this omni-channel future and embracing digital and having more digital touch points for customers and walking them all throughout the customer journey. I'm curious, how much of that have you heard about, and how much do you resonate with, and how much of that are you sort of thinking about and maybe putting those into your own personal line?
Well, so yes, I think I heard that too, because Nordstrom, I believe, like their online sales was just 30% of their, profit. So now that this situation, they had to close down the stores. They basically only get about 30% of what they usually make. So this is something that they are looking into, which, as you can see, the situation call for it, where everything have to be shifted to online. So I don't know much about what Nordstrom plan is for that, but I think we are in a time where that is just what we have to do. As humans, we adopt, and in situations like this, we are always finding ways to keep living. So I think it's a good idea. It's a good idea to shift. The downside would be what happened to the workers, like us, who we go in person, like tailors. We have to be there in person to work with the customer one-on-one. So that would be the challenging part, but I believe we find a way.
Well, the good news is people are always going to need alterations, and so
Right.
I think that what's unique about this opportunity is almost ironically, a reinvestigation of the cottage industry, a reinvestigation of how fashion used to be when there were ateliers, and that's just how you had to do it. You went in for
Right.
an meeting, you got your measurements, and then it was sort of this personal journey walking you physically step by step through the process.
Right.
I wonder how much of that can then be transposed digitally. But
Well, yeah. Well, I think it's possible. I mean, I've seen at places where people, take their own measurement and then kind of submit it online, and then tailor did the stuff, and then they ship it back, they try it on. So I think we can find a way to do it, to still alter clothes if we want to. Yeah.
absolutely. And, one of the key things that I did want to talk to you about today was adapting to change. And one of the cool things about your story is it's basically a textbook tale about adapting to change. You've been adapting since as long as you can remember. And you and I have spoken several times in the past. And I wonder if you can share a bit about your journey and from your initial stages in Ghana, working in the back room of your uncle's tailoring shop to
Right.
to then teaching technical design, to then sort of working into a position in Nordstrom.
Right.
I wonder if you could walk us briefly through that journey.
Well, so as you know, I'm from Ghana, and then that's where I grew up from. I grew up there, and so I couldn't, after like a middle school, I went to vocational school, and then there I couldn't go to any college, so I decided to start helping my uncle, who is a tailor, and that's where I get my sewing skill from. So yeah, I did help for a long time, about 2-3 years, and then I work in a design studio where they make a whole clothes and bags for Ghana school children. And then in 2014, actually my wife now, she worked with us in the design studio back in Ghana for 3 years. And then that's where we met. I met my wife, and then I moved to the US 2014. And then also, when I was here, I went to design school, and and then that's I think I started my clothing line since then.
Well, and before you came to the U.S., and it was before you attended Seattle Central College. You also spent some time in Haiti.
I did, yes. So in Haiti, because of my background as a paramaker and then design assistant back in Ghana with the company I work for, I developed skills, as a product developer. So I work in Haiti for a company called Haiti Baby. It's a small non-profit organization. And then they hire women in Haiti and then train them and for them to make baby products. And I developed some of those baby products they work. And I worked there for 1.5 years. And then before I moved to back to the US again, and then start the fashion school 2016, and then I completed design school in 2018. And then right away, I started working at Nordstrom, and while also working on my fashion line on the side. Because I need the income from Nordstrom, and then invest some of those money into my own business. And then since then, it's been very, very successful. As you know, I met you. When was that? And I was in 2019.
That was yes, that was That was last June, or no, it was
It was
it was it
it
was
was
it was a couture and cars, wasn't it?
yep, yep, that was Kutu and Cars.
Or
Yep,
cars and couture. Yeah, that was 2019. Yeah,
yep,
that would have been July, I believe.
yep. So yeah, and I'm very happy. Things is happening. As you know, I show in Portland Fashion Week, and then I show in the Couture and Cars, and sorry, I showed in Fashion Next in Portland. Um, and then since then, I have a lot of success. A lot of New York Fashion Week invited me to show. Vancouver Fashion Week invited me to show. And then a lot of fashion houses, they invite me to showcase my work. So it's been very successful, and I'm getting a lot of like positive response to my design.
Well,
So
it's well deserved in my opinion. And
yeah.
I wonder if, kind of looking ahead of the future and actually, oh, I'm sorry, before I get to that, I did want to ask you if you could offer any advice, not just to other designers, but to other people that are in the fashion business, whether they're stocking shelves or whether they're in fashion merchandising, or if they're the CEO, or maybe they're doing pattern making, or wherever they're at
Mhm.
in the industry. What advice might you give them as it specifically relates to adapting to change? How does one best adapt, especially when they're put in a position where they don't know the answer, they don't know the way
Right,
out?
right. Well, I think the fashion industry in general is always adopting, new things. Like we have to come up with a new design every season, and then also use new technology, in our every time there's new technology come out, the fashion industry always want to uh, um, adopt that new technology. So in a way, the fashion industry in general is always adopting, and then during this season of lockdown and stuff, you can see that the fashion industry has stepped in and then helping, because we are numb to that. We that's like our culture. Um, I see a lot of fashion houses that shifted from, their brands, and then making personal PPE for healthcare workers, and then that's something that like is in our DNA. So every designer kind of have a little bit of that in them already, and we as artists, we are always experiment with new materials. That's kind of like a way of adopting and using materials, and working in circumstances that we've never done before. So yeah. So I think it's already in our DNA. It's just we have to persevere, and keep moving. And yeah, that's what I would say. I think.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship is not for the weakened heart or constitution. It's a really serious deal. And on the topic of the future, I wonder if we could sort of, look maybe not too far ahead, but you mentioned how much interest that various other fashion weeks have given to you, and especially with many of them putting on hold and moving towards a digital business model,
Right.
or at least a digital, or at least adding that component in to a physical runway experience. I'm curious, for you and for your business, what does the next maybe 2 or 3 months look like?
2 or 3 months. Well, as how I see myself right now, 2 or 3 months, I'll probably be making masks. I don't know. But I don't see myself working on my clothing line in 2 3 months. Uh, I probably will be experimenting and then put inspirations together, but it will probably be I would probably start working on my line in January. You know, that's how I see it right now, because the situation we are in now kind of call for that. So I think I'll probably be working on masks, making more masks for people who need them.
I think that a lot of people feel the same way. And Mark Jacobs actually came out and just said, I have no idea what the future looks like, and I'm not even in a place to begin sketching anymore. And and then you have on sort of the other side of the conversation, Stella McCartney and Gabriella Hearst that are saying, you know, because of the nature of our business model, we have to be 2 to 3 years ahead, and so we've got something of a plan to fall back on. So it's sort of this. It's been encouraging to hear the different points of view and how, you know, each different design house or each different artist might have a part of an answer, so that collectively, when they all come together, we have a pathway forward.
Right.
And about sort of moving forward, what do you feel about the nature of collections? Do you feel that they need to be seasonal, or is moving towards something that feels a bit more capsule oriented?
I think fashion in the future will be more timeless pieces. So pieces that are more practical, and then you know, and then also it's not going to be very huge. It will be something that will be made maybe locally, you know, and then in a small margin. So I think people will start doing timeless stuff, like timeless things that will last for a long time.
And how do you feel about utility? And you know, fashion has in the Pacific Northwest is really a story about form and function coming together. And
Right.
so in what ways have you really, or if you have, given any thought to the utility of fashion in the Northwest?
Well, that's something that I struggle with a little bit. Right now, my next collection, my goal is to actually do ready to wear and then stay away from couture a little bit. So also, as you know, the Pacific in the Seattle is a very neutral, very gray. So, and it's very outdoorsy. So I'm trying to go design something that will be more practical, very that will appeal for the general public here in Seattle. And then I'll start with Seattle a little bit, and then we'll grow from there. Yeah.
Well, I've always loved your vibrant colors and your patterns, and so I hope you don't stray too far from that, because I think it's really beautiful. So, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say maybe we'll have two or three pieces in the collection with vibrant colors, but
yeah, mix it up a little bit. Mix it up a little bit. I think that's helpful.
Yeah.
Well, and so as far as like the sort of, I mean, I've heard a lot of industry insights, people that are sort of inside discuss this, and I'm curious from you in your position as an independent designer in the Pacific Northwest, what use is there in the fashion calendar as sort of we've come to know it? And do you find any use for the traditional fashion calendar moving forward?
Well, so for me, as you can see, I always do autumn winter stuff. Like mostly, like I did autumn winter, and then I did summer garments. So here I don't really see that being a thing. I mean, if you live in New York, you can see the season changes so much that like people kind of go into that seasonal thing. But here, I see here, like people, there's a lot of designers that only come up with like one line for the whole year. So I see the Pacific Northwest kind of like a place where that will be like the norm now, going forward, because the weather even call for it, So that's kind of like something that I have to look into and see if I can, just limited my line into like a collection for the whole year that will be versatile for for the whole, for the seasons here in Seattle.
I think that's very wise, and I think that there's many other people adopting that strategy as well. And I think as far as sort of your brand story and your marketing is concerned, what, if anything, has changed during this time for you in order to get your brand story out there? I imagine adopting more digital technology is helpful, but for example, as I've looked at your Instagram account, and there's a lot of wonderful imagery there, and the shift that you've made towards volunteer work in the masks in particular, I think has been very, very beneficial, and has been very uplifting. And a lot of people feel like, we can find a path forward, and we can find progress, and we can find some unity and doing our part. And in what ways do you sort of see your marketing shifting over the next 2 or 3 months? And in what ways are you adopting maybe storytelling methods or things of that nature?
Yeah, so well, everything kind of related to this current situation, with the lockdown and then the masks and stuff. But on my website right now, you can see a lot of the colors and the fabrics that I use are more, I still have some vibrant, but they are more plain fabric. You can see before I used to do a lot of patterns, but I kind of did very solid colors on my my line right now, and I partner with some of the local artists here in Seattle too, very open, because the situation kind of call for it, and we have to come together and then kind of help in ways that we can, So I think the situation, the circumstances, and kind of shifted it shifted away from my usual fabric choices and then color choices and that. So my design is definitely shifting, and then this is because of what the general public call for. At the end of the day, I'm designing for people. So that's kind of a way of adopting. So I see what the general public respond to most, and why I still keep my very clean line, my technical skills and my design aesthetic in the fabrics, the new fabrics that I start to use now.
Oh, absolutely. And you mentioned your interactions with other members of the community. I'm curious. I mean, they sound largely positive from what you're describing.
Mm-hmm.
Are you open to collaborations? Are there people that are sharing sort of workspaces, and do you feel resourced, and do you feel like you have access to the materials you need?
Yeah, so collaboration wise, it's mostly I have my studio, so in terms of it's mostly online version, so we kind of promote each other, on our platform. So, and then I did a lot of models reach out to me, so I collaborate with models, and I collaborate with one artist down the street. She sells flowers, but so I collaborate with her recently to partner with her with my marks, and then also I promote her on my Instagram page. So I think that's been going well.
Good, good. And I saw that you have the Mother's Day promotion currently going, so
Right.
it's
Yeah.
an opportunity for you. I was actually really excited to see that I, on the topic of fashion, there's so many interconnected industries. The floral industry is one of them,
Mm-hmm.
and hair and beauty, the salons which have been closed for so long, and
Right. Yeah.
how is it that we can all sort of come together and share these resources and really benefit each other?
Right.
um, looking towards the future, sort of long term. You've talked quite a bit about how you sort of see your line maybe 10, 15 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder how much of that has changed, if at all, as a result of the pandemic that we're currently sort of working through. And
Well, yeah. So my vision for my whole design, having changed much, my designs, are more about connecting cultures, emerging cultures. So bringing my Ghanaian culture and then the Western culture to meet. That hasn't changed, but still stays the same. But I think the use of fabric and might be shifting a little bit because of the general public, what the general public wants, and are drawn to. But the message of my design still hasn't changed much.
That's one of the things I've greatly appreciated, and how much you are committed to connection, and how much you are committed to sort of a one global society and a one family kind of a mindset. And it's very Pacific Northwest in a lot of ways. And I'm very curious, just to sort of wrap up and thinking in terms of, if you, during the course of this uncertainty, this pause that we're all still in, if you had just one message that might be beneficial to people that are in a similar position that you are now, what would that be?
So for me, the message would be first of all, we have to stay safe and healthy. And also, if you are able to help, people in need, you should definitely help. And as a designer, we should also use our skills and abilities to help others, and help the general public. Because without the public, the artists and designers are not there. So I think we are in this together. So whatever we can do to help, if you can sew masks and donate, or if you can, get a fabric and sew masks and then sell it on cheap, on the affordable price, so you can buy more fabric and make more for the next person who need it, do it. Yeah, that'll be my message.
Well, the last question, what is it that we, the general population, can do to help? Is there any way that you specifically need help, or that you think others in a similar position as you might benefit from help? What would that look like?
Well, that would be to purchase the marks that I'm making, buy the marks, and then so I can make more for the general public. And then I have here to, if anybody need marks to donate, I can also do that for them. But and then also promote, if you want to help me promote my business on your platform, and then I'll do the same for you. But the general public, in this time, I would say, they should follow the CDC guidelines, in fighting the coronavirus, and then and then wear their masks, because as you know, they said with some of us might have it and we might not even know we have it. So it would be nice for everyone to just do their little bit to protect everyone.